The bank called me, asking why I stopped paying the $412,000 mortgage. I was shocked. I never took out a loan. My name was forged by my own parents to cover my sister's house. My response? They won't forget it. The phone rang on a dull Thursday afternoon. Layla, halfway through her second coffee, casually glanced at the unknown number and picked it up. Hi, this is Greg from Newbridge Bank. We've been trying to reach you about the outstanding balance on your mortgage. You've missed 3 consecutive payments, and we need to discuss options before foreclosure proceedings begin. Layla froze. I'm sorry, what mortgage? Greg cleared his throat. The $412,000 mortgage on the West Maple property. You're the primary signer. Her hand tightened around the phone. I don't own a home. I live in a rented apartment. There must be some mistake. I have your file in front of me, ma'am. Signed documents, your credit pulled, everything looks verified. I can email you the paperwork. As soon as the call ended, she stared at the wall. Her heart pounded in her ears. It had to be identity theft, right? Some hacker? But why would someone go through this much trouble for a loan that large? Within minutes, her inbox pinged. She opened the file. There it was, her full legal name, her social security number, her forged signature. It looked eerily like hers, but she had never signed this. Attached were scanned copies of pay stubs, tax returns, all matching her profile. She felt like the floor beneath her was cracking. This wasn't just a simple prank or mistake. This was betrayal. She grabbed her purse and rushed to the nearest Newbridge branch. The staff, polite but indifferent, confirmed everything. Her name was officially tied to a $412,000 mortgage, and since she hadn't made any payments, the property was entering default. That house, the assistant manager muttered, tapping her keyboard, was bought 6 months ago by someone named Emily Dawson. Does that name ring a bell? Layla blinked. Her sister's name. Her throat dried. Yes. That's my sister. Silence. The staff exchanged awkward glances. Layla didn't say another word. She left the branch, sat in her car, and stared blankly ahead for several minutes. Then slowly, she reached into her glove box and pulled out a notepad she kept for to-do lists. She wrote just one word across the top page: watch. Layla grew up in a household where love had a hierarchy, one she was never at the top of. Her sister Emily, the golden child, the drama queen with dimples and charm, was always the center of attention. Birthdays, school events, family dinners, it didn't matter. Emily could do no wrong. If she got a B, it was a brilliant effort. If Layla got an A+, it was expected. Over time, Layla stopped expecting praise at all. While Emily partied her way through high school and coasted through life on excuses, Layla stayed up late, studying under dim lights, earning scholarships, juggling 2 part-time jobs just to get through college. When she landed her first job at a marketing firm straight out of school, her parents barely blinked. That's nice, her mother had said over dinner, reaching across to spoon more mashed potatoes onto Emily's plate. The favoritism had always been subtle, coded in passive comments and selective memories. Like how Emily's dance recitals were framed in the living room while Layla's debate trophies sat in a dusty box in the garage. Or how, when Layla was promoted to senior strategist last year, her dad joked, "Wow, they must have been desperate." She had smiled, but inside, something hollow echoed. Still, Layla never resented Emily. Not really. She chalked it up to personalities. Emily was loud and lovable, she was quiet and dependable. That's just how it had always been. Until now. Sitting alone in her car after the bank visit, she replayed the childhood memories with new clarity. All the times her parents asked her to just help Emily this once with rent, with car trouble, with emotional support. All the guilt trips. The manipulations masked as love. She remembered the last time she saw her parents. It was Emily's housewarming party. She had asked Layla to come help set up. Her parents arrived hours later, carrying gifts, showering Emily with hugs and champagne. Layla got a side hug and a "you're such a good sister." Now, it made sense. That house, the same West Maple address, was the one tied to the mortgage. The one the bank said she had signed for. The one that belonged to Emily. Her mind swirled with anger, sadness, disbelief. Had her parents really forged her name? Used her credit? Tied her to a $412,000 debt without asking? Did they think she'd never find out? Or worse, did they not care? She thought about confronting them, screaming, crying, demanding an explanation. But what would be the point? Deep down, she already knew the answer. They had chosen Emily. Again. As always. But this time, it wouldn't be like before. This time, Layla wasn't the naive daughter hoping to be seen. She was the woman who had built herself from scratch, brick by brick, without applause. And now, the people who ignored her had crossed a line she could never forgive. Layla wiped her tears, took a deep breath, and looked at herself in the rearview mirror. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was war. And for once, she wasn't going to sit quietly and take it. Layla wasn't the type to make impulsive decisions, especially not with something this serious. After the shock wore off, the first thing she did was go home, grab a legal pad, and begin writing down every detail the bank had given her: loan amount, date of signing, lender name, and the property address. Her hands trembled at first, but by the second page, she was focused. Determined. The next morning, she called her best friend, Tara, a real estate attorney. Tara didn't sugarcoat it. If your name's on the mortgage and you didn't sign it, that's fraud. And if your parents forged your signature, that's a felony, family or not. The words hit hard. Felony. Fraud. Parents. All in the same sentence. But Layla didn't flinch. Not anymore. She scheduled an appointment with a forensic document examiner, someone Tara had recommended. They'll compare your real signature to the one on the mortgage paperwork, Tara had explained. If it's forged, you'll have proof. It cost her nearly $1,000 upfront, but peace of mind, and the legal power it could bring, was worth every cent. When she finally got a copy of the signed mortgage documents from the bank's legal department, she stared at the signature. It was almost perfect. Almost. But Layla recognized the small inconsistencies. Her L always looped lower. The one on the paper curled upward, just like her mother's cursive. Her gut twisted. The handwriting expert took less than a week to return the results. It's not your signature, he said over the phone. Not even close. Someone tried to imitate it, but we can prove it's forged. Layla stared out her apartment window, phone still in hand. Her mind bounced between rage and sorrow. She remembered once being 5 years old, falling off her bike, and her mom scooping her up, whispering, "Mama's got you." But now? Mama had buried her in debt to save her golden child. She wasn't done yet. She requested a credit report and dug through every line. That's when she found it: 2 additional inquiries from the same mortgage lender from the previous year. And 1 rejected application months before the one that went through. Had they tried more than once to pull this off? Each clue led to the next. A digital trail of betrayal. Her parents had listed her as a cosigner, even provided her consent through a fake email address that wasn't hers. The email was eerily close to her real one, but off by a single letter. Enough to fool the system. Enough to bypass suspicion. But not enough to hide from her once she knew where to look. She took screenshots. Downloaded PDFs, cross-referenced dates. Even traced down the notary who allegedly witnessed the signing. When she called the notary's office, the receptionist hesitated, then admitted, "Honestly? That signature looks stamped. We've had cases where clients forge the notary seal too. It happens more than you think." Layla's heart pounded. Her parents had forged her signature and faked a notary? This was no accident or oversight. This was premeditated. Organized. Cold. She created a folder, digital and physical, titled Case File. In it, she placed every piece of evidence: the forged document, the forensic report, credit inquiries, the fake email string, the notary's statement. With every added page, her resolve grew stronger. She wasn't just going to fix this. She was going to make sure they never did it to anyone again, not even Emily. Because this wasn't just about stolen credit. This was about stolen trust. And Layla was done being their quiet fallback plan. Layla didn't want drama. She wanted answers. But with everything she had uncovered, it was impossible to approach this like a calm conversation over coffee. So she decided to do it her way: firm, professional, undeniable. She called her parents and asked them to come to her apartment. "We need to talk. Just the 3 of us." "No, Emily," she said, her tone cold and clipped. Her mother hesitated. "Is something wrong?" Layla replied, "You tell me." They arrived looking nervous but still trying to act casual, like they weren't hiding a massive lie behind polite smiles. Her father even brought a box of pastries. The same kind he used to bring when trying to smooth things over after arguments. It didn't work this time. She didn't even offer them a seat. Instead, she walked over to her dining table and laid out the documents one by one. The forged mortgage papers. The forensic signature analysis. The credit report. The fake email account. And finally, the notary's suspicious stamp. She didn't say a word until the entire mess lay before them like a crime scene. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. Her father stiffened. "Layla, sweetheart, this isn't what you think," her mother started. "Don't call me sweetheart," Layla interrupted. Her voice was quiet. Controlled. Dangerous. "You signed my name on a $412,000 loan. You created a fake email account. You faked a notary. You lied. We were going to pay it off," her father blurted. Emily just needed help getting approved. The bank wouldn't consider her income a loan. Layla stared at them, almost amused. "So you just made me responsible for almost $500,000? Without asking?" "We were going to tell you," her mother whispered. Once she got on her feet. Layla let out a dry laugh. She's been on her feet for 10 years. She's married. With 2 incomes. She drives a Lexus. I ride the subway. But I'm the backup plan? I'm the emergency cosigner for your favorite child? Her father sighed and looked away. Her mother stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "We didn't think it would come to this. We didn't think you'd find out." That was it. The confession. "You didn't think I'd find out?" Layla repeated slowly, like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. "You didn't even think I deserved the truth?" Just more lies. More silence. Just like every holiday when Emily was the star and I was the footnote. Her voice cracked for the first time, but she didn't let them see her cry. "You raised me to be responsible," she said. "To work hard. To do the right thing. And this is how you repay me?" Her mother tried to move closer. "Please, we're family." "No," Layla snapped, backing away. "Family doesn't steal your name and drown you in debt." She pointed toward the door. "You need to leave. Right now. And the next time I see you, it'll be in court, unless you fix this." Her mother sobbed. Her father looked like he aged 10 years in 10 minutes. But Layla didn't flinch. Not this time. As they walked out, she gathered the papers into a folder and pressed it close to her chest. She didn't feel good. She didn't feel victorious. But she felt strong. And that was something she hadn't felt around them in years. Layla spent the next few days glued to her computer, researching everything she could about the legal options available to her. Her parents might have thought they could get away with this, but Layla wasn't about to let them. She had spent years working hard, building her career, and establishing financial stability, only to have it all threatened by their deceit. She wasn't going to let that slide. After a couple of late nights sifting through loan documents, speaking with lawyers, and going through her credit history, Layla filed a formal complaint against her parents for fraud. She also contacted the bank, requesting a full investigation into the forged documents. If her name was going to be on that loan, then it would have to be because she had agreed to it, something that wasn't true. The whole situation felt surreal. She couldn't believe she had to take legal action against the people who had raised her. The ones who were supposed to have her back, no matter what. And yet, there she was, fighting them tooth and nail for something that should have never happened in the first place. The bank responded quickly, confirming they had indeed received documents bearing her forged signature, and they agreed to open an internal investigation. Layla also filed a report with the local authorities, marking the incident as identity theft. The wheels of justice were slowly but surely starting to turn. It was exhausting. Mentally and emotionally, she felt drained. But she wasn't going to stop. Not now. She had spent her entire life doing the right thing, following the rules, and being a responsible adult. But for the first time, she realized that sometimes, doing the right thing meant breaking ties and standing up for herself, even if it meant confronting the very people who had always been her foundation. Every time she thought of her parents' betrayal, her stomach churned with anger. But Layla knew she had no other choice. This wasn't just about the money, it was about setting boundaries. It was about reclaiming her life and taking control of the narrative that had been rewritten for her. She was no longer going to be the victim in their twisted version of reality. As the days passed, Layla began to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time: power. She wasn't helpless anymore. She was in control of her own story. Layla's days became a blur of meetings with lawyers, phone calls with the bank, and hours spent poring over paperwork. But the hardest part wasn't the legal battles, it was the emotional toll it was taking on her. Every time she thought about what her parents had done, her heart sank a little further. The anger was consuming, but so was the hurt. She had always been the good daughter, the one who didn't rock the boat, who followed the rules. And yet, here she was, fighting a battle she never should have had to face. Her mind kept replaying the moment she first found out about the mortgage. The shock, the disbelief. The feeling of being betrayed by the very people who were supposed to protect her. The idea that her own parents had forged her name to cover for her sister's irresponsibility was something Layla couldn't wrap her head around. Why had they done it? What made them think it was okay to use her name without her consent? And more importantly, how could they have been so careless with her future? She had always been the one who worked hard, who made sure to stay out of trouble, who built her life the right way. And now, she was stuck dealing with the consequences of their choices. It felt like all the work she had put in over the years had been undone in an instant. But Layla was determined not to let that happen. She wasn't going to let them ruin her life. The stress began to show. She lost sleep, her appetite shriveled up, and she began to feel a heaviness in her chest that wouldn't go away. The emotional strain was far greater than the financial one. But Layla knew that she couldn't afford to break down. She had to keep going, for herself, and for her own future. She realized that this was more than just about the money or the legal fight. It was about standing up for herself, about setting boundaries and showing her parents that she was no longer their pawn. She wasn't going to let them control her narrative any longer. This was her life, her choices, and her responsibility. And it was time to take back what was rightfully hers. The phone call came late one evening, just as Layla was finishing dinner. The caller ID flashed her mother's name, and she hesitated for a moment. What more could they possibly say? The anger and frustration she had been bottling up for weeks surged within her, and she felt her hands tremble as she answered. Layla, her mother's voice sounded strained, almost apologetic. We need to talk. Layla didn't waste any time. About the mortgage, she snapped, the words biting through the air like a sharp blade. About how you forged my name on a loan without even telling me? How you've ruined my credit and put me in the middle of a mess I never wanted to be in. Her mother's silence on the other end only made the tension heavier. Layla could hear her mother's breath, shallow and shaky, before she finally spoke. I never wanted this to happen, sweetheart. It was just, your sister was struggling, and we thought we could help. Help? Layla's voice cracked with disbelief. By signing me up for a debt I didn't know existed? By putting my future on the line? Help would have been supporting her, not using me as a safety net for her mistakes. Her mother's words tumbled out in a rush. We didn't want you to be angry. We thought you'd understand. We didn't want to burden you with this, but your sister needed help. And she didn't have anyone else. And you thought I wouldn't? Layla's voice dropped, her tone cold now, cutting through the apology. You thought I wouldn't care about my own future, about what this would do to me? Her mother's voice cracked, full of guilt. I never meant for it to hurt you, Layla. I never meant to cause you any pain. But Layla was done listening to excuses. She had spent years being the obedient daughter, the one who always put family first, but now she saw the truth. It was always about her sister, always about making sure she didn't face the consequences of her actions. Layla had been the afterthought, the backup plan. I don't want to hear it anymore, Layla said, her voice firm, final. You've made your choices. And I've made mine. Before her mother could respond, Layla hung up the phone. The line went silent, but in that silence, Layla felt something shift within her. It wasn't just about the loan anymore. It was about reclaiming her life, her independence, and her peace. For the first time in weeks, she felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She had spoken her truth, and now it was time to let go. The battle wasn't over, but she was ready for what came next. Her future, her rules. A few days had passed since the phone call with her mother, and Layla spent her time in a kind of quiet contemplation. The anger that had once consumed her was now replaced with a strange sense of clarity. For the first time, she wasn't weighed down by the actions of her family, the decisions they had made for her without her consent. She was free. But freedom, she soon realized, came with its own consequences. One morning, Layla found a letter in her mailbox. It was from her parents. The envelope was thick, the handwriting on the front unmistakable. Her mother's neat, careful script. Layla opened it slowly, bracing herself for whatever was inside. The letter was brief but heartfelt. Layla. I know I've failed you. I don't know how to make up for the hurt I've caused, but I need you to understand how much I love you. What I did was wrong. I didn't realize the damage it would cause you, and I should have respected your boundaries. I should have trusted you more. Please know that I'm sorry. Please don't shut me out forever. Love, Mom. Layla held the letter in her hands, her eyes stinging with unshed tears. Her mother's words stung, yes, but they also reminded her of something she'd long forgotten. That even though her parents had made mistakes, they still loved her in their own way. She'd been so focused on the betrayal, so consumed by her hurt, that she'd forgotten the humanity in them. Her mother wasn't perfect, but she was still her mother. Layla closed the letter and placed it on the kitchen counter. There would be no immediate response, no quick reconciliation. She wasn't ready for that. What she needed now was time. Time to heal, time to build the life she had been denied. Time to rebuild her own foundation, piece by piece, without the shadow of her family's expectations looming over her. For the first time in years, Layla felt the power of choice. She could choose to forgive or not. She could choose to stay distant, or to open her heart again. But the most important thing was that she was no longer bound by her past. Her future was in her hands, and for once, it felt like she was the one holding all the cards. Layla took a deep breath, picked up the letter, and placed it in her drawer. She wasn't ready to respond yet. But she would. On her own terms.